Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar looking at Object2VR 4 and Polygon Hotspots. My name's Martin, I'm from support and I'm going to be joined today by
me. Hi, I'm Karen and I'm in the background here helping out with the questions and answers. If you have a question, please use the tab on the bottom here. And that is all. And please keep your questions relevant to the topic. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Right, okay, so if you want to just put in the chat, just say hi or something, that'll be great just to know that people are here. But what we're going to do is carry on from where we've been building this project up. So we're just going to carry on with that, but this time round what we're doing is adding Polygon Hotspots. Now, the project we did last week, or where we ended up last week, let's just have a quick look, was very similar to this with point hotspots. But what we're going to do this week is, you can see we've got these hotspots that when we roll over them, we get various, that they show up, and that's what we're doing. These can also be used to open up image pop-ups as well. So that's what we're going to aim to do today. So let's get started. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do then is go to our hotspot list. If you don't know where it is, it's up here. I've already got it selected. So I've now got an output and my hotspot list here. These are all the hotspots, or the point hotspots we've been adding during building up this project. And to actually get to it, you can just click either on the buttons here. Once you've clicked that, it brings the list up, and then you can click whichever hotspot type you want. In this case, we want Polygon Hotspot, so I'm going to click this. And very much like before with the point hotspots, is that you define a hotspot first. Once you've defined it, you then add the different instances of that hotspot to the object. So we're going to define the hotspot first. So this is going to be Poly01, that's its ID. The ID is going to be coming in later on. That's going to be very important to know about IDs. The hotspot type, we get two types with this. We've got a URL and a skin proxy. Basically, we'll use a skin proxy where we're linking the polygon to the skin, but we're not going to do that just yet, because what we're going to do with this particular Polygon hotspot is make a very, very basic info pop-up. So what I'm going to do is just I've just copied some text. I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to do no more. So this is my Polygon setup to do what I want it to do. So what I need to do now, of course, is to add the instances of the polygon to the object. So what I'm going to do is just whiz along the images until I find a good starting place. That may be at the back here. So this image, because I want to draw a polygon around this section of the moped. It is a centrifugal clutch. I'm going to zoom in so I can see it better. There we go. And what I can do now with the polygon selected is basically double click to start the polygon shape off, and just keep single clicking to draw the shape. All right, so I'm just going to do that. And when I double click to finish, when I've finished, you see we've now got this movement cursor in there. Unlike before, we can now grab the polygon and move it around. All right, so that is that helps. If you've slightly misaligned it, you can grab the whole thing and just move it as a whole. The other little trick bit that we've got with this right now is, if you right button click, you can see that we can copy the Polygon hotspot to clipboard, and we can paste it into various images of the object, or we can paste it into the next, previous, or all columns. All right, so I'm going to paste this into the next column. All right, and as soon as I do that, you'll see that the green placeholder here for the image, I now get is the one I'm in, hence why it's green. But now I've got this orange border around this image, and that's because this particular polygon appears in this second image. So if I now select this, you'll see that we've got the polygon copied, but of course all we need to do now is just slightly move it over. There you go. Now with the polygons, you have a little bit more control of them. If I needed to change the shape of this, I can click and I can drag any of these points. If I right button click on a point, I will delete it. And if I left button click on the edge, it adds a point for me to reposition. So you've got quite a lot of control there. So again, what I can do is right button click, columns, go to the next one. And this time around, it's going to be this image because it's obviously coming round now. So when we click to that, I can just line that up. I can delete a few bits here and and just reposition that just to tidy it up a little bit. Add another point. So it makes adding multiple polygons a little bit quicker, but it makes it a lot quicker if you've got lots of columns, because if you've got lots of columns, then that means that every polygon that you're copying to the next and previous is only going to be slightly out of shape for the next one. So you basically, how this is going to work is that we've rearranged the shape, and we're going to I'll tell you what, let's start back at this one. So we've rearranged the shape, right? Okay, we're going to right button click and go to previous. It's going to appear here. I click that. I can just drag it there onto the area of the object I want to, just slightly tidy it up. And now what I can do is that particular shape, copy that to the previous, and so on. So it actually speeds up. So we can just delete a couple and just, or delete one and just change the shape there. And as you can see, we can add quite complex shapes very, very quickly. Let's just bring that over so we can see. Again, just delete a couple of the points and tidy that up a little bit. There we go. Right, so that's basically all of my polygons added to all the images. And as I said, with this polygon selected in the list, you can see which images actually have the polygon. So of course, because it wraps round, we've got the one here and we've got the images here. Of course, if you select a different image, you can then see all of the orange ones are the ones that have got the polygon in, or the Polygon hotspot in. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to click output, and let's produce an output and see what we've got. So as we hover over it, you can see we've now got the tooltip showing, saying centrifugal clutch. You see that the hand symbol is there to say that we've actually scrolled over something that's active, but we can't see anything. And of course, the other thing we need to do as well is that particular tooltip, which is what we call the default tooltip, doesn't match any of the other tooltips that we've got in the project. So how can we address and fix this? So basically, there's two lots of settings here. If I click in the output, under the output properties and under the hotspot banner or tab, you'll see that we've got some things we can do with the Polygon hotspot. And it's not just the polygon. If you've just added a default point hotspot, then this hotspot text box, or the tooltip as we refer it to, will show with that as well. So this is, if you like, the default text box. Now we can obviously change its attributes here. So what I'm going to do is select auto. I'm going to select its text. I'm going to change the text color to white. And the background, now if you remember rightly, when we were doing this particular project, what we did is we color picked the logo for the Vespa and we added that to our color swatch. So we've got this color swatch with the right blue that I want. So I can select that, and then that will give me the text box the right blue. And then the text boxes, I'm going to give it a radius of 10 to give it the curved edges. So let's just see what that looks like. So now when we hover over it, we get a more matched, if you like, because these text boxes were built in the skin with the point hotspots. This is now our default text box. So it's looking very, very similar. Okay, so that's what we're doing with that. And let's have a look at the other properties here. Because with the polygons, we're hovering over an area. We know it's interactive because the cursor's changing to a hand. But we have this section here under the output dedicated to the Polygon hotspots and what happens to them. We've got this viewer mode. Now at the moment, and the default is always set to hidden, but we can select this. So now this means that every single Polygon hotspot will now be visible. So again, if I just create an output, we can see this. And there it is. You see, we've got this blue surround. This is the polygon that we defined. Okay. The other settings we've got here is show current. In other words, they're hidden until you hover over that particular one, and then that particular one will show. And we've also then got show all. So if you hover over one, then they all will show until you hover until you mouse away from it, and then they'll all hide. Okay, whilst we're here, we've also got the system default, if you like, for the Polygon Hotspot colors. Now again, we can color match this with the rest of the project, and there we go. So I'm doing that. And so we've now got the polygons itself. So we've got it's popping up and telling me that area is the centrifugal clutch on the engine. We've formatted the text, and we've made the polygon a nice little color as well. If I just go back to it, you can see there it is. It glows the blue color with the mouse over. Okay, I want to add another polygon. This time round, we're going to get it to do something. This time round, it's going to be opening a web page. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll head to the hotspot list. We'll click on the polygon button, create polygon. We're now creating Polygon 02. The type is set to default URL, which is fantastic. That's exactly what I want it to do. I'm just going to copy and paste the URL. Hence why if you see these keys up here off screen, that's because I'm copy and pasting a document elsewhere. So I'm going to give this a title of, what are we going to give it a title? Right, so Vespa LX125, I forgot what it was called there for a second, and it's going to be pointing to the wiki page, and I'm just going to paste in the URL for it. Okay, so that will now open a wiki page. Now don't forget, we haven't got any instances of this yet. We're just defining the polygon. Okay, so we're just running down this. So I think what we'll do actually is define this thing. So let's run through our images to see which image where I want to start it. I'm going to have the polygon on this little grill. Okay, now this isn't a big deal to add a polygon here, so this is probably not going to be worth doing the copy to next and copy to previous. Just want to explain a little bit about that. As we said, if you've got a project with, I don't know, say 36 or 50 or 72 images, then each image, this polygon shape, isn't going to move by much, so you can quickly copy and paste, move it, slightly alter it, copy and paste the next one, slightly alter it. It's going to make that process very, very quick, and especially if it's a complex shape. But when you've got so very few images, sometimes it's just quick just to double click, move the cursor key to move it over, and just create the polygons. Now I'm not being particularly careful here. I'd expect you to, let's just add a couple there. So I'd expect you to be a little bit more careful than me, but you can, even if, and again, if you're not showing the polygons, then it really doesn't matter because it's not a visible thing. I mean, at the moment we've got these set to visible, so you will see them. So let's bring that into the middle of the screen, and let's just add this instant. Right. Okay, so double click and we've got that. Now, whilst we're here, what I'm going to do is concentrate, or not concentrate, but bring focus to this color. Now, it's saying use the default colors. Now, we defined the default color in the output under the Hotspot tab, but you can actually go in and change a particular Polygon Hotspot to any color you want. So I'm going to deselect that. It's saying it's going to be blue. I'm going to change that to red. All right, so let's just change that to red and click OK. And now let's go to the output and create the output and see what we've got. So here we've got our blue one, which is using this, is the default colors, but we changed the color on the grill, and you can see now we've got this red polygon. Okay, and when I click it, it's going to open up a Wikipedia page because that's what we asked it to do. The other attributes you've got here under the polygon is, if we, hang on, let's just click, select that. We've got this target Now, by default, it's blank, and it does mean it's blank. So when it says it's blank, when you click it, it opens up a new page or tab, depending on how your browser is set up. But you do have other options. Example, self. If I select self and we go to the output and create an output, what will happen here is that when we click the Polygon Hotspot, it's going to swap out the object image for the wiki page. And we're just going to come back to that by just using the browser back button. What this will do on most browsers is reset the object back to the start again. On Safari, we found out that Safari's actually caching all this, so it's actually putting it back, which is probably the only plus thing for Safari. But basically, doing it this way, when you come back, you're obviously going to start back at the beginning of the object. So probably not the best thing you want to do, but it's there. It's an option. It's for you to choose what you want. Okay, so we've actually blasted through quite a lot there. So what we've done then, just to recap, we've added a simple polygon with a text box just to give us a very, very simple, basic info pop-up, if you like. We've talked about the polygons hiding and showing when we hover over them, and we've managed to add another Polygon hotspot and given it the ability to open up a web page. So with that said, I'm going to throw it over to Karen. Karen, do you have any questions?
Hi. No, there aren't any questions.
We are going to steam through this today. But yeah, people, just say hello, just to prove that you're there. That'll be great. So yeah, okay, all right then. Well, if everyone's happy for me to plow on, we'll do just that. Okay, now what we want to look at now is what we call linking the Polygon hotspots to the skin, and to do that we're going to use a thing called a hotspot proxy. Now this is the skin that we've been working on over the series of webinars, so I'm just going to hide everything so we just don't have anything in the skin. So we've got a blank canvas. It doesn't mean it's not there, it means I just don't see it in the canvas. Now what I did do is I added into the components toolbox under user defined, because I added it there, is a thing called a floating tooltip, and this is excellent to explain the next thing I'm going to do. Now before I do explain that, I just want to quickly, because this is worth knowing, under view, if I deselect that, I've added this component, and as you can see it clearly states it's in the tree, it's in the skin, but you can't see it. It's because it's off canvas. So what you can do is go to view and show off canvas elements, and then what happens is this yellow border defines the canvas, the skin canvas, and this shows the element that's off it. As an example, if I grabbed a rectangle up and put it there, I can just keep moving it off, and yeah, you'll just keep seeing it. Okay, now what this tooltip does briefly, because I'm using it to actually demonstrate hotspot proxies and what we can do with them, but what this actually does is it's a tooltip, it's an element in the skin that's going to follow my mouse. If we look at the container, you'll see that it's got modifiers that say move with move X, or move X with mouse X, and move Y with mouse Y, and it's relative. So if you say, right, the mouse is always starting at the top left, so XY00, that text box will always remain relative to the mouse. So it'll always be above the mouse, but the idea is it will track the mouse. That's what's happening here. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect, or I'm going to select the tooltip text box, and I'm going to deselect its visibility. All right, so it's now hidden. And what I'm going to do is, or what I'm going to say is, when the mouse is over this, when it's true, we want to see it, so it's true. Now this seems a pretty bizarre thing to do right now, because one, the tooltip is going to track the mouse but above the mouse, so the mouse can never actually hover over it. Bizarre feature number one. And bizarre feature number two, it's hidden, so I've got nothing to actually hover over. But this is the trick, you see. What we're actually doing is we're connecting the Polygon hotspot to this tooltip. So when we hover over the Polygon hotspot, that mouse over action will translate to this skin element. So whatever we do with the polygon will happen in the skin. So if I mouse over the polygon, we'll get a mouse over event in the skin element or this toolbox, this toolbox, sorry, text box. If I, we actually support mouse click, mouse over, also mouse enter and mouse leave, and after the next release on Object2VR, Polygon2VR supports it, is double click as well. So with that all in mind, right, what we've got then is this logic block saying that when we mouse over, we will see this particular tooltip, and the tooltip is got the placeholder. We've covered placeholders in the past, but basically this placeholder is grabbing the text from the hotspot and it will display it. Okay, so let's just see what this is going to do. Now, those that are pretty keen out there will probably suspect it's not going to do too much, as in it is working, but only for that one. Okay, so let's just go back to this, go back to the so mouse over equals true, and what we need to do is, right, okay, so this is what we want. We actually need to create the actual condition for it to show. So this is when the mouse over equals true. So what we need to do then is the hotspot proxy needs to be poly01, and I'm going to save and close that, and this should, so here we go, we've got the tooltip showing. Now we've got two there because don't forget we've got the system tooltip already switched on as well, so we need to turn that off. But you can now see on that polygon we've now got this floating tooltip in the skin, so that's the upper one. Okay, just to stop confusion, what we're going to do is go back to the system and turn off the system tooltips. Okay, and just re-output this. Sorry, I should have done that before, but I forgot. But yeah, so you now can see that tooltip working. But if I roll over this polygon, you'll see that we've got no tooltip showing. Why is that? Right, well, it's simple. It's simple. Basically, what's going on here is that we've got if we have a look here, we've got this ID. Now, this is Poly02, and it's not working with Poly02. And the reason why it's not working with Poly02 is because this connection that we've got, hotspot proxy ID, is only for Poly01. So this will only work for that one and only hotspot, right? Poly01. So what we can do to get it to work with a series of hotspots, so in this case polygons, we can use what we call a regular expression. And it sounds pretty techy and geeky, but they really aren't. So basically you start off with a hash that tells this thing it's going to be a regular expression. Now we're going to type in the keywords it's going to look for. So in this case we're going to look for poly. All right, so that's what we're looking for. We'll try and look for anything with poly. Then the next thing we've got to add is a dot, and that means any character that will follow it. And then we've got the asterisk, and that means any number of characters. So now what this is going to basically look for is any hotspot ID that contains the word poly. So it could be poly01, poly10, poly1000, poly A, poly B. It's not just numbers, can be characters as well. So it's now going to look for anything that starts with poly. Okay, so let's save, close, and build a new output. So now it's going to work with our poly01, and it's also going to work with poly02. And when we hover over a point hotspot, you'll see that the point hotspot has still got its own tooltip, with which we built in an earlier webinar, but we're not seeing the new floating tooltip that we've built in the skin. Okay, so you can see it's only now working with Polygon Hotspots. Right, so what I'm going to do, just to make this again visually easier to follow, is I'm going to select in the skin now all of the tooltips we put in the point hotspots, and I'm just going to delete them. Boom, gone. Okay, so close, save, and output. And now what we should see is we get the tooltip over anything that's got poly written on it, but any point hotspot we don't get it. So how can we make this work with all hotspots, because don't forget, regular expressions, we're using poly01, but we could have quite easily have used point asterisk, which would have meant all point hotspots but no polys. But we've got one little trick up our sleeve. As I say, what we need to do is just set this to the wild card, which is the asterisk. And what the asterisk does means that, or rather what the asterisk means, is it's going to connect any hotspot ID to the skin. So that means point hotspots and polygon hotspots. So now what we should have is our floating tooltip work with all instances of hotspots. There we go. Okay, so that's our so that's basically connecting polygon hotspots to the skin. And just to recap on what we've just done, what we've done is we've connected one polygon hotspot to a skin element. We've then connected a series of polygon hotspots, so polygon hotspots to a skin element, and then we've connected any hotspot, be it point or polygon, to the skin element as well. Okay, right. I hope everyone got that bit. I'm just going to throw it back to Karen. Karen, we got any questions?
Hi, yeah, no, we're good. That was clear. Thank you.
This is going to be really quick today. Right, cool. Okay. Awesome. Right, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get the Polygon hotspot to open a pop-up, so interact with all of the elements we added earlier in an earlier webinar to open a pop-up image. Okay, now with Polygon hotspots this is a little bit more involved, but it is still fairly straightforward. The thing with point hotspots, if you wanted to add an image pop-up with a point hotspot, you grab an image, you drag it in, it adds the point. So it defines the hotspot, it gives it the file path, and all you do then is add the instances. With Polygon hotspots, it's a little bit different. Because we've got no way of dragging the image in to create a polygon, we have to add the image manually to the project. And we do that by selecting the output. Underneath the output panel, we have this assets. So what I'm going to do is add files. I'm just going to go to the desktop and I'm going to select the images I'm going to want to pop open. Now I'm going to add a wheel and also I'm going to use the speedometer image as well, because we will do those. So I'm just putting the images I want to use within this project under assets. Now just to show you what I'm talking about, if I right button click and open in Finder, this will open the output in Finder. Obviously on a on a PC, it'll be right button click and open in Explorer. But you can see we've now got the assets and we've got the wheel and the speed and the speedometer images added. So these are now in the output folder. So this project can access them. So with that done, what I need to do now is to define a hotspot. So I'm going to go back to our hotspot list. I'm going to add a Polygon hotspot. Now, because this is going to open up images, I'm going to open up more than one image, I want it to open, I want it to interact with a range of Polygon hotspots designed purely to open images. So I'm going to rename the ID to IMAGE image 01. So I'm going to use image 01, image 02, and then we're back in the skin, we're going to use this regular expression to look at anything with image. Okay. Now the hotspot type, because we're now going to be doing skin proxies, we need to select this. Okay. I'm now going to give it a title. So let's just go to wheels. But where do I put my file name in here? So with the point hotspot, when we selected image, it gave you a place to put a file name. With a Polygon hotspot, it doesn't do that. We use a custom property. So I'm going to click custom properties. I'm going to just call this, let's just move my mouse out of the way so you can see it. So poly image pop-up. Now this is going to create a variable in the skin. So I'm going to give the variable a name of, I don't know, poly pop-up. I'm going to leave it as a text. Okay, so this is the new custom variable that we've added to this Polygon hotspot. and I'm going to say I want this particular Polygon hotspot to open the image wheels.jpg. All right, so that is the image it's going to open. So if I go back to the output list and just double check, that was WH double, so it's got an S on the end, wheels. So yep, so this is what it's going to open. So this particular Polygon hotspot will open that image. So what I need to do now, of course, is because we've defined the hotspot, we need to actually add the instances of the polygon to it. Now, again, we are going to be using this new feature of, let's double click and add the polygon, but we're going to be using the new feature to copy and paste it to next and previous, because it actually, this lends itself to it very, very well. So double click that. Again, I can move it around with the new drag handle in the middle. And what I'm going to do, you can see this is the image that we're on. If I right button click and go to add to next column, you'll see this now turns yellow because that polygon instance is now in this particular column. Here it is, and all I've got to do is just move it. It's a little bit large, so I can right button click just to delete a few of the points and just to arrange a couple of them just to tidy that back up. Again, do the next and previous, no, not previous, sorry, the next and next column. Here we go. So we go back to this one, and again, we can just tidy that up. Quickly doing that, add a point there. Oh, that's it, and add another point there. There we go. So again, we can do that. Let's go back to this one. Oh, I see what I did there. Right, okay. So I can delete that, and I'll just put in another instance there, because I did a previous where I shouldn't have done. So I added two of the same. All right, so double click. So that needs to go into the previous. That adds it here. Again, I can just drag it over, just probably tidy it up a little bit. And again, right button click, go to previous column. Again, we add another one here, and so on. So you can see, if you've got, you know, lots of images and with a complex shape, this is going to be an absolute game changer for saving time. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to go with that. So that's a.
Hey Martin, can I interject with a tip?
Go on in.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that when you're working with a detailed object like this, and you're trying to decide which columns to put it in, or if you want to put it in the next one or not. What you can do is increase the size of those thumbnails, which maybe people don't realize that there's a little slider to the right here that might help you see that better.
Yep, here we
Maybe.
go. There you go. Right, nice, good one, good one.
Okay, that's all.
No, also as well, the next and previous is the image that you're at. So if I want this green one, the previous will be this side, the next one will be that side. So where it goes a little bit wrong is if you're on the last one, then the next one is going to be back to the start again, and so on. So yeah, but yeah, no, thanks Karen, that was yeah, all good. I think I've made it too small now, but anyway. But anyway, here we go. Right, so you can, and of course you've got these little drag handles as well if you want to make them bigger and yeah, outrageously large. But yes, all good. Right, so thank you, Karen, for that. That was good tip, good tip. In fact, what I'm going to do is just add, I think I wasn't going to, but I think I'll add another previous one, move it there. You see, you can grab all of the polygon in one go. Slight modification. Where this is coming right out, I can just right button click and delete those points and just bring in those points to tidy it up. And that does me, I think. How far did we get with this one? So this one I would go to the next column, add that. And now this one I am going to delete because it's a peculiar shape. We've got this part of the fairing in the way. So what I'm going to do is double click, start it, and then we'll just draw around the wheel quickly. There we go. Okay, so that's basically the polygon defined. So that's defining the polygon hotspot here.
I have a question. Sorry, I'm sorry for interrupting you again. So when you when you copy it into another image and then you delete it, you're not deleting that whole polygon. Like you're not making a whole new polygon hotspot. You're just redrawing it, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
I'm saying that because I was covering that later. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
no, 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 no. But it really doesn't matter. Karen's right. We define a polygon hotspot by using this list, right? That polygon is there, and then we add instances of that polygon. But we can go to any image and delete that instant, but the polygon is still there, and all of the other polygons will be still in the other images. The only way to remove all of the polygons in one go is to delete it from the list. Once you've deleted it from the list, it removes all the polygons from all the columns, and it removes the instance. The whole thing's gone. But whilst you've got a listing here, and you can just go in and just delete that, or you can just delete them one at a time or whatever. But yeah, so when you delete an instance, like what I did earlier, because I'd put two in there, I put two of the same hotspot in there. So when I delete one instant, I deleted them both. I could quickly draw it. I didn't affect any others because I didn't actually remove the polygon or the defined polygon from the list. So therefore it was safe. All of the setting up of that Polygon hotspot is untouched. So yeah, but but this is different. This is where it's different from our other software, Object2VR, because with hotspots in Object2VR, you define the hotspot and then you define the instances or add the instances. So yeah, all good, right? But yeah, no, all good to bring up. It absolutely. So that's done, right? Any other questions, Karen?
Nope. But you were just explaining about the properties. You're going over the properties again over there when I interrupted you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Right. I'll crack on then. So yeah. So basically, as as a recap, then, so we defined that it's using a skin proxy. It's got a title of wheels, and we've added a custom property, so we can now bring this into the skin. Right, so if I now go to output and click on the skin button, you'll see we get this little sign saying a custom property from the project has been added as a variable to the skin. Excellent. So if we now have a look in the skins, let's double click, open it up. If we have a look at the skins properties, because don't forget, if you click in the background, you'll get the skin editor's property. If you click it on an element, you'll get the elements property. Okay, so if we click in the background of the skin or anywhere in the canvas, we'll get the skins properties where we got the variable table, and we've added this poly pop-up. It's a text property, and it's defining it's a point hot, but it's defining it's a hotspot. So that's where we know it's coming from. These particular custom properties, as you can see, have got the user data icon, so we know that they're from the user data. Again, we did this in an earlier webinar. If you follow the series, you would see those, but we've just defined this one for picking up the image that we want to display here. Okay, so with that, we've done most of the work. What we've got to do now is in the skin is use the hotspot proxy to, if you like, make the connection to the image pop-up and open it up. Now, I thought about how we were going to do this because in an earlier webinar we added a point hotspot and we added an image viewer, and the idea is that when we dragged and dropped the image in to the point hotspot, when you click the hotspot tells the image viewer its file path of the image it has to display, and it also changes a variable that basically shows it. So we've got to emulate that with the within the skin with the point hotspot using hotspot proxy. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this. We could cheat. We could just go here and copy these actions and put them in a container. But what I'm going to do is actually, I think we've got time and it's worth doing this. I'm going to add a container, so I'm going to do this manually, and I'm just going to call this poly. Actually, no. What I'll do is do lowercase, so poly underscore image underscore pop up. That keeps the naming convention the same. That's all good. And then what we're going to say with this is we're adding with the hotspot proxy. We actually used the ID of image 01, right? So this hotspot proxy is going to use the regular expression. So it's going to be the Option key or Alt on the PC, and that, well, for me it's 3, and that gives me the hash. So just the hash button, all right? So the hash. So that says it's a regular expression. I'm now going to use the word image, and then I'm going to use the period or dot, so it's any character, and then the asterisk, any number of characters. And when I mean a character, it can be a letter, it can be a number. So yeah, characters. So this is now going to work with anything. We've now created a link between any Polygon hotspot that's got the ID of image01, image02, etc. to this container. Now what this container needs to do is, on mouse click, it needs to set the value, right? What we're going to do is set the value. So we're going to set the file path into this image viewer, right? Now, don't forget, because we've added the images to assets, they're actually in the assets folder in the output. So we just need to adjust the path for that. So assets / and don't forget, we've added this custom property, so it adds this variable in the skin which will contain the file name that we want. So what we're going to do is go to the variables and select that, because obviously when we hover over the Polygon hotspot, this variable will then contain the name of the image it wants to open. So in this case, it's going to be wheels.jpg. So when we click this, it's going to use the full path assets wheels.jpg, and it's going to put it into the image viewer. So then that sends the path of the image to the image viewer, and that image viewer will then be able to show that image. But at the moment, it's still hidden. So what we need to do as a final thing is go mouse click. Let's do that again. Mouse click, set variable value, and we're going to set the image pop-up to true. Okay, so with this, so when we click the polygon now, it's going to fetch the image, stick it in the image viewer, show the image viewer, and we're going to see the image, the wheel image. Okay, just to for those of you that didn't see the webinar we did with the point hotspots, when we open this up, it's going to open a screen tint as well, and the screen tint will have the action on click to close, to set the variable to false, so to close it. So that's why I'm not worried about any closing actions at the moment with this. Okay, so recap, we've got a container that's going to be controlling the image pop-up. It has got the regular expression to work with any Polygon hotspot with the word image, and it's got the actions to actually load the image and then show it. So without further ado, let's do that, he says. So let's create the output. Let's whiz it around. When we hover over, you can see we've got the tooltip that says wheels. We can see that we've got the default color, which is that the same color blue. And when we click this, we now see the wheel pop up. Okay, so that's basically how to connect a Polygon hotspot to a skin element. Okay, now carrying on with this theme, what was pretty what we had to do with the point hotspots, you've got all of these point hotspots that can get quite, I don't know, they can get in the way. So what we did is we had to put a button in to hide them. But of course, once they're hidden, you can't click them, right? So what you can do is replace all of these with the polygons. So in this case, where it gets a little bit busy, what I want to do is show you how we can convert an already set up point hotspot to show an image like the speedometer, and how to get it to work. Because we've done all the hard work already in the skin, doing this is going to be relatively simple. Now once I've completed this will be coming to the end of the webinar and the process of linking polygons to skin elements. Before I do this, I'm just going to shout it out one more time to Karen if we've got any questions. I don't actually.
We're all good.
Right, I don't have my chat window open, so I can't see. But here we go. That's all right. Okay. So then, how would I go about converting a point hotspot to a polygon? Right. Well, if I select one of the images already, and you can see that it's got a point hotspot in. So if I go to the hotspot list, What I can do is I can select this and delete it. Boop. So that point hotspot's gone. But has it gone? No, it hasn't, because there are other instances of that point hotspot in the project. So for me to remove them all, what have I got to do, Karen?
Hit delete in the list view.
Absolutely right. So I just click that, boom, and you can see all of those orange squares have gone, and there is no more instances of that point hotspot in the project. Okay, but we did, or what we do still have, is the image pop-up, the actual bits or the elements in the skin for making the pop-up work, because obviously we've got that with the wheel, and we did add the image, the speedometer image, into assets. Right, so if we now want to make this an image pop-up, what we do is we select hotspot list, which we've done. We will select a polygon image. We will call this image02. Don't forget, it's a regular expression. It's looking for the word image. It doesn't care about if it's 01, 02, A, B, C, or D. So that's cool. It's now to make this a skin proxy, and we are now going to enter in here the image it's going to open, and that is speedo.jpg. And I can hear Karen laughing in the background already, because speedo is short for speedometer over here, but it's a pair of budgie snugglers elsewhere. Okay, so
Bathing suit in the States, yeah.
yeah, bathing suit, right. Okay, so that's it. So we've defined all that already. So what we need to do now, so we've defined the hotspot. We've now just got to add the instances. So with this selected, I can now start double clicking and just, I mean, this is going to be fairly quick. Again, I'm not going to bother copy and pasting, because it's just, yeah, this is a very basic shape. All right, so it's, oh, he says, hang on, what have I done? I've added one there I shouldn't have done, so let's go back to, hang on, what did I do? I've just,
And I just looked away for a moment.
I'm gonna backtrack. So let's go to the history. So this is it, and I'm going to add that. So that's the hotspot. So image 02. Right, okay, so this is, I know what I've done here. So I got a bit excited and got carried away. That's what's happened. We've got Poly Hotspot 02 added with skin proxy. Did I give it the, I don't think I gave it a title. So speedometer, so speedometer or speedometer, right? Speedometer, yep. So that was it. So now what we're going to do is just add the instances. So with that one selected, add the instance. I think it's because of that hotspot's in the way. I'm just going to drag that out of the way, and then.
Can you hide it? Can you hide? Oh,
I've just hidden everything. And this is a beta. Okay, but all things being equal, we click OK to that. Did we? Yes, I want to go back to where I was. So we've got wheels. I will actually do this because we've got a bit of time, so it isn't a problem. So let's just go back to see how far we got to. So in the output and the skin was saved, so that should. Okay, I've broke it well and truly. I can't actually open the skin, so let me close Object2VR and reopen it. Okay, we're just going to open this up. There's the skin, right? So there's the poly image pop-up. All of that's been set, that's been done. That's fine. So let's just see where we're going to go with this. So let's go back to the image. Let's go to the hotspot list. That's actually wiped that out. Okay, we didn't save it, but basically what we'd do.
But there might be the backup.
Yep, there will be. He says. So let's go to preferences. Let's go to the backup folder, and our last backup is going to be here. So I'm going to drag that over, and I'm going to drag that into the project over there. I'm going to close Object2VR. And where is the project? There it is. That's the backup folder. We're going to open that up. And there we go. That's where we were with the wheels. So that's as far as we got. So good call, Karen, to show the backup. So yeah, so we've recovered to the part of the wheels. We know that the skin was saved because we saved the skin before coming out. So basically, where we're going to go back to now is go back to adding the hotspot.
The speedometer.
Speedometer. Now that's, so if I zoom into this, I think that's where I went wrong really. So what I'm going to do is just let me.
I would try hiding them, but to just hide the point hotspots.
Yeah.
In the top left of the viewer. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Good call. What I need to do is obviously define the point hotspot. We're going to call it, let's just do this again, Image02. We are going to call it a skin proxy. This is going to be speedometer. It's going to open the image speedo.jpg. All right, so that's what it's going to do. We are now going to define one. I won't do too many, but you'll get the idea. 2, 3, and we can come back the other way. Was there one? Yep. So come back the other way. Just quickly. There we go. So I'll hold it there, and then all we should be able to do really is then create an output, because we've defined that we defined the polygon. We've told it which image to open. We've created all the different instances. So now when we whiz this over, you can see it light up, and when we click it, we get the speedometer image pop up. There you go. So that was it. That was adding the polygon using the hotspot proxies to link polygons to skin elements. But be aware, or also know, it's not just polygons. Using the hotspot proxy, it will also work with point hotspots as well. Or using regular expressions, you can get it to work with absolutely everything. So yeah, all good. Right, well, I think I'm done. I think we're sort of finished on that one. That's probably taken us to the hour, so or very close to. I hope everyone got something out of that. Karen, do you have anything that you want to add or inject or generally abuse me with? I don't know.
No, but I like to point out that the recovery time on this project was pretty quick because we have the auto backup, which you might not know about, and I think that's it. That was a good.
That was a good call, actually.
It
That
could
was
show.
a good call.
And then the other thing I wanted to.
Actually,
Oh yeah,
what I will do, because obviously what we do is we save, was it the last 10? And what happens is every so often we will save a project file when the project's open. So I think every 10 minutes is the default. It saves a project file. When the skin editor is open, every 10 minutes of the skin editor being open, we save an instance of the skin editor. To use it, you would use this as your file. So if you wanted to use the backup of the skin and the project, you'd copy those to your project file, then double click to open them. I do believe, here we go, the backup interval, it's 5 minutes, not 10, and how many it's going to do. You can change that. So as an example, if you're opening the skin and you're only going to be in the skin for say 2 or 3 minutes, you could set the interval really for 2 minutes, but be aware if you do that, you're going to be creating a new backup of the project every 2 minutes as well as the skin when the skin's open. Or you could actually have 999 count, so you've got loads of backups. So it's whatever you feel comfortable and safe with. Sorry, Karen, after you.
Yeah, no, that was great. And I think, and then the other thing, with the last bit that you were showing, I thought that was a nice example of how quick adding more hotspots to the project can be after you've already done that work in the skin editor using the regular expressions and stuff. It's really quick. So now all you have to do is just add your Polygon hotspots and you're good to go. Like that's
Absolutely,
really
because all
that's
that's right, because of all the skin elements are already there. I mean, already there. So the container that's going to read the image polygons or polygon hotspots and all the hardware, if you like, is already in the skin to produce it. All you've got to do is add the polygon, tell it which image to open. You don't even have to put the path in. You only actually need to put the the file naming, because in the skin and in the container we actually added the path already for you. So assets, yeah, so we added the path assets, and then we added the variable there which will then have the name of that image. So it's so once you've done this, it's done. It's quick. It isn't difficult to do. Okay then, right, well, I think we've yeah, definitely come to the end of this webinar. I think we got the point across on how to connect polygons to skin elements, and how the skin element can work with one polygon, a series of polygons, or say polygons, hotspots. I think I'll use the term hotspot, so we can link to one hotspot, a series of hotspots, or any hotspots, be it what type. So I think that was the main message in this webinar, and I think we got that across, and we got it to open up pop-up images, and it's all working lovely. So yeah, I think mission accomplished. So there we go.
I agree. I
All right then.
agree. Yeah.
Okay then. Well, from me, I'm gonna wrap this up and say goodbye from me until next time. The next webinar, all to be thought about and arranged, and we'll let you know what it is. But from me, I'll say goodbye, and over to you, Karen, for the last word.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Martin, for putting on that nice webinar, showing us some new tricks, and yeah, have a good one. We'll see you then on the next webinar.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.